Hello. Good morning, you guys. So it's May 17th, and I decided to come outdoors this morning and just enjoy the weather, enjoy the space outdoors. Can you guys hear me? I'm wearing my headset. Of course, I can't tell if I can be heard or not, but yeah, just maybe send a little heart or a thumbs up if you can hear me before we go too far into this. Can I be heard? Hello, little heart, a couple of hearts, a couple of thumbs up, if I can be heard. Ah, thanks. Great. It's good morning, Mr. Noble. Nice that you're here. Um, I was reflecting this morning on change. You know, life is full of change, and uh, this year has been a big year of change for everybody, right? And for many of us, we're totally living life from a place of not knowing. Many of us have spoken of this for years. You know that we need to live that way in the not knowing, but underneath of that we've had this idea that some things were certain, and that our society was certain, or that our banking system was certain, or that our airlines were certain, or that travel, we could always go to Asia or whatever. All these things we thought were certain now are not so certain, and like I think must happen as as many of us approach our senior years. The things we thought we could always do, we can't do. I think that's happened to many of us this year. So interesting to embrace change, to embrace the not knowing. I encourage you to do that. And in my own case, I'd spent many years in a business, and the last 4 or 5 years have not been great for my business in Alberta, and eventually I had to close it. And wow, I watched my struggle around that, and so lots of folks are going through challenges, and I think my message is that we see you, we hear you, we're here. Don't if you're struggling with change, and I encourage you to reach out to me and others. And it's hard to talk about a bit sometimes. It's like we we're not used to sharing maybe with people what's going on, or what we're struggling with, or maybe we can't even see it. I had was talking to a friend yesterday, and realized that in some ways I was still grieving some change in my life. I'd had a business that I loved, and it was gone, and I thought I was kind of over it, and we talked about it, and I realized that, oh wow, I'm still having I'm still feeling stuff about that, and so be a feeling person, feel what's happening, talk about what's happening. Lots of times because we don't understand it, we don't want to talk about it, but if I didn't talk about it yesterday with somebody, it wouldn't have come out. I wouldn't have been able to look at it, and in awareness, consciousness is where the power is. It's like, oh, I could see it. It's like, oh shit, and how it had shown up in my life is actually it made me grumpy. And I never imagined, yeah, I was grumpy. And so, you know, there's lots of change on on our doorstep right now. And, and also this idea that we're, going to get back to some normal. Well, this is life is, there is no normal. Life is change. I'm outside right now, and I'm surrounded by little birds that I fed all winter, which was fun. So I have a bit of a relationship with them, and they live at the mercy, like we do, of the elements. We somehow think that we're above the elements, but we're not. And they follow a pattern, and it's fun to kind of be in their lives. Yeah. And behind me, I don't know if you can see it, I'm putting in a garden this year, which is fun to be digging in the dirt. That's somewhat grounding, I would say, time in the dirt. Okay, I'm going to read. I've been reading from this little book called the 24-Hour Day Book. And I was also talking to another friend yesterday who said that he felt like he'd become a monk or a full-time spiritual student, that he recognized that it was more than his calling. It really was the only way for him to stay stable, was to become like a monk, like a full-time spiritual student. That it, for him, needed to be the most important thing in his life, to be connected with, with God, with universal intelligence, or to be striving to be connected with that. And it's a nice revelation. We were digging in the garden, and when that came out, and fun. I'm very blessed to have people in my life who like to explore and talk about things, real things, life. Just feel quite grateful. So May 17th, thought for the day, from this little book called the 24-Hour Day Book that I've been reading from. And I don't know if I can explain why I read from this book, but it hopefully that the reading gives whoever listens just a little touch of something, either an understanding of the alcoholic, because it's very much about the alcoholic, or a little something that lifts them up spiritually in some way. That's my hope. And yesterday's reading was about the Good Samaritan. So there's some of what's in this book comes from stories in the Bible, and and he talked about the priest and the Levite passing by the man who was in trouble, and the Good Samaritan stopped and helped him. And this reading kind of keeps going with that theme. It says here, a lot of well-meaning people treat an alcoholic like the priest and the Levite, which is understandable. Many folks don't know what to do with us. The alcoholic is a handful. Even sober, we can be a handful. And so he says that many people don't know what to do with us, and they pass by on the other side of. They pass by on the other side by scorning him and telling him what a low person he is, with no willpower. Whereas he really has fallen for alcohol in the same way as the man in the story fell among robbers. The member of AA, or 12-step, who is working with others, is like the Good Samaritan. I am moved with compassion. The question was, do I go to another alcoholic and take care of him? I love that, and what's become, so apparent to me is that as we are shown the way to be lifted up, whether we're alcoholic or not, it becomes almost our responsibility to reach out to others who need some guidance, who need some lifting up. And that it's like doing this reading this morning. I this is my work, to carry a message of love and to help folks to see that they're not alone. And sometimes I get to spend time with people physically, and sometimes just this way. I mean, what a great medium we have now to be able to do this. So, yes, and that's also the 12th step in the 12-step program, is that we carry this message. It's through giving it away that we're lifted up, of course, on our own estimation of ourselves, but it's also through giving it away that we see ourselves. It's like, oh, I see myself in the newcomer, or I see myself in the guy or woman that I'm working with all the time. And self-examination is so important, because alcoholics, I think everybody, we have a tendency to bullshit ourselves, and imagine. So here we go. Meditation for the day. I must constantly live in preparation for something better to come. Wow. All of life is a preparation for something better. I must participate the morning. I must anticipate the morning to come. I must feel in the night of sorrow that understanding joy that tells of confident expectation of better things to come. Sorrow may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Know that God has something better in store for you, as long as you are making yourself ready for it. All your existence in this world is a training for a better life to come. Interesting. It's an interesting meditation, because for the most part, I agree with what he's saying. I just think that if we're too much in the looking forward to a better life to come, we actually miss what's happening right now. And so I strongly encourage whatever is happening. In his reading, he's talking about the night, and I know that sometimes nighttime, can be difficult for many of us. We can be a little torn or tormented in the night by our thoughts, and so in a way, the saying "this too shall pass" is an important part of any life. And no matter what's happening, it will pass. If it's amazing, unbelievably fun, it will pass. If it is, if we're surfing that big wave, just so in it, it will pass. And the same if we're, in the middle of the night, beating ourselves up and having desperate thoughts. That will pass. That will pass. So that's true. And I think it's important that we really experience what's happening. So whatever it is, be there. Be here in this feeling. And one of the ways that I talk a lot about how to be, more present, if you will, is through meditation. So just, closing your eyes and dropping in. And not to get anywhere in particular, but just to be here, to really be here in a quiet way. And the more we practice that, the more we can do that when throughout our day, to be really calm and be present. You know how we meet people sometimes and they're so present, and that we're not even sure. I don't know. I've been with people that have been so present that it's been in some ways I've been uncertain how to be with them, that they're so really there, and I strive to be there with in that way, in love and compassion. So prayer for the day, I pray, it says, that when life is over, I will return to an eternal, spaceless life with God. I pray that I may make this life a preparation for a better life to come. It's interesting, this little book is a has some ideas that I find maybe even a little challenging, because I think that my life with God is now. Having already been to hell. Sometimes in religion, they've used the threat of a life after in hell as a tool to keep us on the path. And with the alcoholic who's lived in hell already, our relationship with God, or the moment, is how we get out of that. So, pray that life is over, I will return to eternal, spaceless life with God. So, be here now and experience God in this moment. Because I don't think there is any other moment. This is the only moment there is, the now. And so I encourage you to go outside and feel the day. Be here now. This is your last day. How would you want to spend it? Reach out. People are experiencing difficulty with change. Talk to them. If you're experiencing difficulty, and call me, and we can always chat. So love you guys. Okay. I'm sure we'll talk again. I'm going to keep doing this for a while. I don't really have a plan.